What is going on, guys? Today we are looking at the best defenders in FC24 currently, and it is a new update to the previous one that we have done. We've taken out pretty much most of the icons now just because they stay the same. Naturally, you're always going to get the better ones, Maldini, Carlos Alberto, and then you go to the kind of lower ones. You're looking realistically at your Berezes, your Nestas, people that you just don't see in teams. So there's no point constantly putting them in, as we want to see all of the new cards plus any updates on other cards. And the one that literally as soon as I kind of started to record this, luckily he stayed the same, was Bonucci, because in the road to the knockouts we have now, I believe, updated all of the ones that are actually updated currently. So Darmian was one of the freer ones, or was a free one, and is now an 87 rated over the 85 we got. Acuna at 88, Kalulu at 85, and then also Bonucci at 88, which definitely does add a different sort of value to them, because naturally you are almost buying for the upgrade. You might get lucky, you might not. It is all an absolute risk. But when it comes to it, Darmian has definitely paid off a little bit more now. And I'd say if we're looking at him now, especially if you took the free into the consideration, he's definitely a well worth card of doing. At the very minimum, you've got yourself a free 87 as fodder if you really wanted to. And I think, I don't even know if all the upgrades have happened yet, because I think there's one more game or two more games that we can still get upgrades if they haven't already got their +2. So it will be an interesting one to see how it goes, but I think Darmian has managed to do it now. Bonucci, on the other hand, I feel like we need a flashback. Same as Chiellini, and then you look at your Cruces, you look at all of the players that are naturally coming to the end of their career, they need a flashback just to add that pace to it. 75 is not going to be enough. Acuna, on the other hand, he's an interesting one, because naturally with him, he always has a good endgame card rather than necessarily anything to start with. He started an 85, he's now got an 88, he's a 4-star, 3-star, but when it comes to the square up with other left backs, I feel like he's okay. He's not necessarily your number one choice, but he's okay. Kalulu, on the other hand, I'd say he's definitely one of the ones that may not be my first choice in centre-backs. Definitely if we looked in Serie A, he could be an option, and that again is always something you have to consider, is what team are you running? If you are running a pure Serie A team, then maybe you've got a shot. There is still very good centre-backs. Straight away, Cordoba staring at me, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of others that we can have a look at. And also Lucio, if you're looking at kind of normal players. So in terms of that, you've always got to take that into consideration. I would be on the fence between the two. I'd say kind of like an A+ rather than necessarily an S. Again, with centre-backs, there is so many decent ones that you can go with. And I think if you are looking just solely at pace and defending, then you could argue it. But when it comes to what we've actually got in a centre-back role, he isn't necessarily, like I say, my first shout. Lucio, on the other hand, has to be. He is an absolute machine when it comes to being a centre-back, and I think he's got it absolutely down to a T. Him and Maldini together, you throw in, actually, I was a big fan of Company. I think he was absolutely phenomenal when I played with him. Great pace, especially when you do add the shadow or the anchor, and in terms of defensive ability, was as good as anybody. When we look at Virgil, wherever he's gone, and there he is. Honestly, I thought that the tier list looked a little bit basic. But in terms of Virgil, we got 90 rated. Again, still incredible. You could just go for the gold card, and he is 100% an S+. Naturally, one of the better centre-backs. The best gold centre-back you're actually ever going to get in this game currently. And we do have a few others. We have, Mikado? Yeah, I'm going to go with that. Basic, bottom tier. Then I'm thinking we've done all of obviously the extra ones. Sedili actually is one that I didn't check, so he could actually be upgraded, and he is currently... FC24 is here, and Sky Coach has all your needs covered. From squad battles, champs, qualifications, and even now draft boosting, there is a long list of services they do give, as well as coaching, and also the big one everybody wants in FC24 coins. This service is fast and reliable, and you will get your coins, your boosting services, or obviously coaching in a matter of hours. If you do want to get any of these, make sure you head over to skycoach.gg, go onto the website, and when you go to checkout, make sure that you are using the code JT11 at checkout for your 5% off your orders. And if you'd prefer to do this on mobile, check out the screen right now with the QR code for their mobile app. Now an 85, so he's now got 83 pace, 85 defending, 84 physical. Again, he's maybe not my number one shout, but he's definitely in that kind of A category more than anything. And I believe that is now, hopefully, all of the road to the knockouts. As honestly, I keep forgetting about the Europa. I know we do have Diego Carlos and Doda. I must admit, in terms of Diego Carlos, he naturally was one of them ones that you could argue he's gone up to 87. He's 144,000 coins in an SBC. I'd have probably gone A more than anything. Now, Dodo, on the other hand, is definitely one that I would be looking at. In terms of the upgrade, he's gone from his 84 to an 86. And I must admit, with a right back position, 92 pace, 80 physical, 81 physical, 80 defending, you're going to have to go with the anchor, making him controlled explosive. That gives him 96 pace, 85 on the defending, and 86 physical. That really isn't a bad card. And I do think he has got the chance to be in quite a lot of teams, to be honest. So for me, I'd be looking. Would I go S plus? Do you know what? In terms of right backs, I feel like he's got to be one of the better shouts that you can go for. When it comes to the right backs, you've got your Di Lorenzo, you've got your Frimpong, you've got Hakimi, and then I believe there is a couple others if I can figure them out. You've got Alex Scott if we add her to the list. Zanetti, we might as well chuck him in at this moment in time. Cancelo technically, oh no, I suppose Cancelo is a right back at the minute. And then I believe, is that everybody? Let me know if you can find anybody else. I'm sure I'll find them in like 5 minutes, but we'll just keep going with Trippier. And that is it. Locked, loaded, in. So these are what I consider the better right backs that you can get. I would say now, if I'm looking at Frimpong, I'm thinking more bog standard. He was a very good starting card. Now we're 2 months into the game or so. You're not going to be rocking a Frimpong. A lot of people have got special cards now. We've got upgraded cards. People are using Hakimi. Trent's still floating around a little bit. I've personally got Llorente as an Evolution 87. So that is something else that we could add into it. They are going to be the kind of better spots. Hakimi, I think he's good. Not as good as I previously thought, to be honest. I felt like when I've played against him, he's been in the back pocket quite comfortably, which normally with Hakimi definitely doesn't happen. Alex Scott is bog standard, to be honest, in my opinion. Di Lorenzo was, I'd say when he was released, is probably kind of edging to the S. I'm going to have to go with the A form right now. Cancelo, I'd say more of an S, if anything. Trippier is more of an A. And Zanetti is a hard one because I do like him as a CDM. I think he is phenomenal. As a right back, I'm not as impressed. I feel like he's just a wasted talent, as I know how good he is in the middle. So I don't really play with him as a right back. As an overall player, very, very good. On the left-hand side, though, we have got, again, a huge amount of players. Baka is an interesting one, as if I am led to believe, they have, Leon especially, have already done pretty much all the requirements to get her upgraded. These cards go up by a +3, meaning that Baka technically should already be a 90 rated, going into a 91 with their final game coming up. I don't know, I've not actually checked, I've just took it as gospel. If that is true, you could get her as an 88 SBC, and she is almost guaranteed to go up in rating. So that is a big dub for an SBC. As a player, again, very bog standard. Left back wise, in Bompasta, to be honest, I've played against her a few times now. We've had the hero pack out, and she isn't terrible. I wouldn't say she's quite in the S+, but she's definitely done a lot better than what I kind of expected from her. We have Capdevia. He's in my team personally, and I think he has always been phenomenal. He definitely will need an upgrade very soon, like a lot of the heroes. We are getting the UCL heroes, and we are currently in the triple threat heroes as well, which unfortunately haven't included loads of heroes, so I can see where the UCL is going. Ashley Cole, on the other hand, you'd argue, to be honest. I think he's coming in still at a decent price. I want to say 700, 720, not far off. In terms of he's got up a triple rating, which is always the better side of it. He's managed to get a 3 on the pace, 3 on shooting, as well as defending, and 4 on everything else. So that is not a bad upgrade for him. Whether I actually like him is a big question. I didn't find him that appealing as his base. Definitely with the Centurions, you're edging. I don't quite think he's number 1, but I do think he's close. Then if we keep going through the list, you've got Alphonso Davies. I'd say he's kind of like Hakimi. He may not be my number 1 shout right now in terms of the left back in the game, but he is up there. Definitely up there, pace mainly orientated there, but we need an upgrade from him to really put him in that question. I'd say Gaia is pretty bog standard. Now we do have the lady from the triple threat as well in the PSG team with Kimpembe. Absolutely incredible. Her inform, her gold card, I've come up against more and more each time I've gone into FUT Champs, and she is absolutely rapid. So this card has most definitely got to be up there with the best of them. And in terms of price, I know she was very, very expensive. She's 115 with her inform, only 13k on her 86, but most definitely 314 in this version now. Moving over to Lamptey, again, still a very nice inform that you can go with. I do think he's slowly losing his kind of credibility in it. I think for me, it's mainly the physicality, because pace will only get you so far. I do like the defending dribbling aspect of him, but I do think that physical, especially with now the right wings and left wings we are starting to get in the game, with player of the month Son and Salah now with a lot of people's teams, he's going to start to struggle. Lazora Zoo, I'm hoping I'm getting that right. Again, more bog standard. I've not really kind of used him a heavy amount, so I'm going off very, very kind of minute gameplay from him. But in terms of what I've seen myself and also against, he never really stood out in my opinion. The one that I am very, very shocked at in terms of pricing is Ferland Mendy. His gold card is still very fantastic, and you have got arguments for other left backs, because one that definitely has been impressing this year is Theo Hernandez. Price wise though, Theo's coming in currently at a whopping, drumroll, 27,500 coins, which is more than enough, I'd say. I don't think you really need to go any more. Gold Ferland Mendy is currently coming in at 43 still at 82 rated, and the Centurions is coming in at 1.045 mil already. That is absolutely nuts. I know he's a 4-star, 5-star, and I know the card is absolutely, he's just as skilled as ever. But 1,000,000 coins for a left back is just not the one. He is worth what you get back, but you can easily go for Hernandez or even Capdevere or even the lady from PSG. 300k, 100k, 27k is going to be more than enough to grant you your team, honestly. John Anarise, again, not for me. He's nice in terms of the upgrade, but he's not necessarily my cup of tea. Now, Robbo was one that I personally ranked more in the S category. Now, that was before I watched the FC Pro Open, because a lot of people did choose him, and I must admit that the level of gameplay, and yes, they can make anybody look good, naturally, but the fact that they're picking him and the way that they were using him, he was unreal. I've only used him literally for like 4 matches at best, so realistically, I'm not going to be the #1 advocate for him, because I've got 4 games under my belt. If I've managed to get 10, 20, 30 games with him, maybe a different story. But after watching some gameplay with him, and it's what I take from a lot of these cards, I can't tell you right now that every single left back I've played for 50, 100 games each. It's impossible. I have to go off what I see. I have to go off what videos I watch, any reviews that I see about him, and also just naturally gameplay in general from myself. So I do take them all into consideration, and also pricing is a big factor. If you look at somebody and he is 1,000,000 coins, you've got to take more notice of him. You've got to see, why are people paying 1,000,000 coins for Ferland? Is it potentially the pack weight? Is it naturally he is that good? Or is it just a bit of in between? Is it naturally the pack weight and how good he is? And see where the gems are. I think Hernandez is a perfect shout, and these 5 centre-backs are easy enough the better centre-backs you can get in the game. And I believe we've got Rolfo. Now kind of we're getting into the game. I think she is starting to turn bog standard. I must admit, I like the fact that she can be a variety of positions, but realistically, she's not in many people's teams now. I think I've seen her twice, maybe 3 times potentially off the bench. And in terms of other left backs, I think we are now into the centre backs. I knew there was one. I said 5 minutes. I count how many minutes that was actually. I knew I'd find another right back, and how have I missed him? The golden right back in the game is Kyle Walker. He is incredible. He's one that I'm still yet to get my hands on, but I see him in everybody's team. If it's not Lorente in Evolutions, if it's not Dodo, it is Walker. Naturally, incredible right back. Now in terms of centre-backs, Blanc I've gone with just because SBC wise, he is there still. So you can still do him. And I do think in terms of a centre-back pricing, what he gives you back is a very good centre-back role. Nice and solid. You could get one of these centre-backs next to him and you're absolutely golden. Now, we look at a few... Okay, we've gone all the way down. We look at a few of the gold cards. We've got Varane. We have got Rudiger, Saliba, Militao, Orejo, and that's everybody. So these are kind of the last standing golds. All of them obviously have golds here as well, but they have got special cards, so you've gone with the higher rateds. Now, if we kind of ranking these in the order that I'd put them, I'd say Varane is my number one. I naturally just absolutely love him. I'd say Militao is going to be next. No. Orejo is going to be next. To be honest, Orejo could potentially go over Varane, but in terms of what I've seen from Varane, he's number one in my option there. I'd then go Rudiger, and then I'd go Saliba. Saliba potentially is dropping down to the A soon. I feel like he's still a very good option, but we're now getting into the point where centre-backs are getting very heavy rated, and we will start to see them pretty much just taking over. King, I forgot that was even in there because we have got the triple threat. Now, if we look at what we've got down here, in terms of heroes, Mascherano, I'd go bog standard. He's like Zanetti. I like him in the CDM role more. In terms of centre-back, I don't get enough. Ricardo Calvoya, again, very similar, and Marquez is the same. When they do get their upgrade, that is when I normally start to take notice of them. I think Marquez was mainly in the Fantasy Foot promo. That is where we start to see a big pace increase, and then the defending is just getting even higher as well. So once he starts to get that 82, 85 sort of pace, you end up with like 94 defending, 93 physical. That is when he turns into the player that you want. Kohler as well, again, in terms of defending is incredible, but I'm just not a fan. Cordoba, unfortunately, isn't quite in my S plus category. I do think with an upgrade he could sway my opinion, but I do think he is kind of more in that S at this moment in time. Then we have got the likes of Vidic. Vidic and Coman. Coman I'm not a fan of as centre-back. Very much like Zanetti and also whoever I've just chosen and said the exact same words for. Mascherano. He is a CDM. He's not a centre-back. He just doesn't work for me. I like him in the middle. He plays it well. He's got everything you need for a midfielder, not a centre-back. Vidic, on the other hand, is very close to Blanc. I'd say they're pretty much identical cards, bar from maybe a little bit more physical on Vidic. But in terms of pricing, SBC, and natural centre-back ability, they are very, very similar. And then we have a few of the remaining promos. King, on the other hand, I'd say is kind of in that bog standard S. Nothing too crazy, gets the defensive job done, had a nice pace increase, and that's really about it. The only problem with him in terms of an SBC, little bit expensive, but he does have the loan out that you can try him out first. Then we also have into Centurions, Tomori, a stunning centre-back. I'd say he's definitely at the top of the list in terms of S. I like the pace. I like the defending physical aspect. You go with an anchor. You go with a shadow. You are getting yourselves one of the better centre-backs in Serie A, 100%. Djallo is more, I'd say, more in bog standard now. Maybe when Centurions came out, he was kind of linking into that S as a cheaper beast that you could offer. But when we've got the kind of table that we've got, unfortunately, he's not going to do it. We have Dante, bog standard. Koyunde as incredible. Everybody loves Koyunde. He is just a masterwork of a Trailblazer. I would probably still rather go with the gold version because naturally the Trailblazer's coming in at 430k for a single upgrade. 54k for the gold. You're paying for the dynamic. Go with the gold, 100%. Marquinhos, big upgrade this year. Very, very happy with him. Again, even just the bog standard gold will do, as a lot of these at the moment are just single upgrades from the gold. You're paying 225k rather than the 18k for a +2 pace and dribbling and +1 on everything else. You will not notice that difference. I guarantee it. And then finally, Ruben Diaz. I'd say in the bottom end of S, I think defending kind of carries him through, but the pace needed to be upgraded more. Hermoso from the SBC from Forlan is a nice upgrade. The only thing I'm thinking with him is a potential evolutions in the coming future. That could be a nice upgrade that you could go with him, as in terms of pace, he's got that ability. So all we need now is something to just make him that little bit higher. And finally, we have got Kimpembe, triple threat. Absolute monster, going from an 82 to an 86, coming in at 539,000 coins it's Kimpembe. He's an absolute GOAT. And that's going to be the list for today. Let me know down below if you did enjoy, and also who is your favorite defensive line in FC 24. Take care. Peace.